There was a point in time when the Roman Empire dominated parts of 3 different continents: Europe, Africa, and Asia. However, it wasn't long before Rome's rapid growth led to its downfall. The fall of the Roman Empire happened as a result of 2 different types of problems. The first problems were issues within Rome and the Roman government. These were internal problems that caused instability. The second kind of problem were issues that made Rome exposed and susceptible, or vulnerable, to outside attacks by neighboring groups. With the death of Julius Caesar in 44 BC, the Roman government switched from a republic to an empire ruled by an emperor. And whether or not Rome was doing well or whether they were suffering basically depended on how skilled and trustworthy their emperor was. Rome experienced a long period of peace and stability that was called the Pax Romana, and during this time period they had excellent emperors. However, the Pax Romana ended in 180 AD, and a period of violence and corruption began in ancient Rome. This led to their downfall. These incapable Roman emperors caused political instability, or a weak government, in ancient Rome. Emperors, like Nero, spent so much money on their own wishes that they bankrupted the treasury, which is Rome's money. Rome was ruled by 28 different emperors within 100 years, from the year 192 to 284, and most were assassinated. With lots of changing leadership, political disorder in Rome caused Rome's armies to be busier fighting each other than defending Rome's borders. And this is important because it allowed Germanic tribes, which are groups of people from modern-day Germany, to repeatedly and successfully attack the empire during this period. And some of the names of the tribes from Rome include the Goths, the Alemanni, the Franks, and the Saxons. If you look quickly at this map, you can see the locations where some of those Germanic tribes came from. And these were the tribes that eventually were able to take over ancient Rome. And once Rome was experiencing political instability, it was kind of like the domino effect. They started being weak in other areas, especially in terms of their economy. When warfare disrupted production and trade, it caused many merchants and artisans to go out of business. Warfare also destroyed farmland, which caused food shortages that sent food prices soaring. The government tried to make more coins to fix these problems, but it caused a whole new problem called inflation. Inflation is a rise in prices and a decrease in the value of money. Lastly, the government had to heavily tax landowners to pay for their army. And this caused people to abandon their land, meaning that there was even less farming and less food. Now we're going to look at some of the unsuccessful reforms that happened in Rome. And a reform is a change. So 2 emperors in ancient Rome, Diocletian, who you can see on the left, and Theodosius, who's on the right, they tried to institute some changes to save the empire. So Diocletian was a Roman emperor who tried to save Rome by making 2 reforms or changes. One is political and one is economic. The political change that Diocletian made was that he divided the empire into 2 units, east and west. He did this because he felt the empire was too big, it had too many problems to fix, and it shouldn't just be ruled by one person, it had to be split into 2. The economic reform that Diocletian made was he tried to freeze or stop wages from rising, and he tried to set maximum prices for goods. Now he did this to slow that problem of inflation. However, people just broke the law that Diocletian made against raising prices and wages, and they sold their goods through illegal trade. This map shows you how Diocletian divided the Roman Empire into 2 different units. Everything that's in the dark yellow is the Western Roman Empire, including Rome and the Italian peninsula. Everything that's in purple is the Eastern Roman Empire, and you can see that's more kind of towards Asia. That includes Greece and parts of North Africa and the Middle East today. After Diocletian split the Roman Empire into two parts, another emperor, Constantine, decided to move the capital from the western part of the Roman Empire to the eastern part, to a city named Constantinople. The city was named after Constantine. The reason that he moved the capital to Constantinople was because he felt the location was better for trade, and it was also an area that was further away from those Germanic tribes. So Constantine felt this new location would better protect Rome. Despite the attempts made by Diocletian and Constantine to save ancient Rome, the empire did fall victim to barbarian invasions. Tribes from Germany entered the Roman Empire for many reasons. Some were looking for warmer climates and better grazing land for their animals. Some wanted to share Rome's wealth, or maybe steal it. And most Germanic tribes actually entered Rome because they were fleeing another group, a group called the Huns, who were nomadic invaders from Asia. So this map shows you the different Germanic tribes and the different groups that invaded the ancient Roman Empire from the year 100 to 500, as ancient Rome was falling. You can look at the blue lines. Those are the Vandals. They actually invaded Rome from the south, from Africa, by sea. The purple lines are the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths, and it looks like they dominated a large part of the ancient Roman Empire. Also look at the green lines. Now those are the Huns. That's the group from Asia that actually pushed many Germanic tribes into ancient Roman territory. As ancient Rome grew weaker and weaker, it became difficult to recognize exactly when Rome officially fell. One thing that we look at is called the Sack of Rome. And from the late 300s to 400s, Germanic groups such as the Ostrogoths, the Visigoths, the Vandals, the Franks, the Angles, and the Saxons, groups you just saw on the map, they took over different parts of the Roman territory bit by bit. And a very important date is in 410, and that's when a Visigoth chief named Alaric invaded Italy, and he sacked, which means he destroyed and looted, Rome. He later retreated back to Gaul, to France, but we look at this event, the sack of Rome in 410 AD, as really the time when the ancient Roman Empire had ended.